Space, the final frontier. Join us for a bold conversation. Our prime directive: to recap our favorite Star Trek shows, both new and old. To engage in debate about all things Trek. Prepare to energize with phasers set to stun.
Hello everyone and welcome back to Phasers Set to Stun, where we continue to show our love for everything Star Trek in this ongoing series from a Film by Podcast, which focuses on every quadrant of the expanding universe of Trek by covering television, animation, movies, directors, merchandise, and so much more. Plotting the course, as always, is your core Trek crew. I'm David Burns.
And I'm Wayne Whited.
Scott is still on important way mission, so he will return to us as soon as he can.
And I'm beginning to think we might have to send a shuttlecraft for him.
I think we might. I don't know where he's at. Long overdue, that's for sure. All right, listeners, red alert. If you have not caught up with the series, Strange New Worlds Season 3, please go do so, as there are many spoilers ahead.
Oh, yeah.
We will be right here on the bridge waiting for you after you've seen them. And now for the conclusion. Words I have been waiting a long time to hear, especially from Pike.
Me too.
Strange New Worlds is back finally, I might add, with Season 3, and wow, does it open with a bang. Today we are discussing Season 3, Episodes 1 and 2. Hegemony Part 2. I can never pronounce that word, Wayne.
I have trouble with it too.
Hegemony Part 2 and Wedding Bell Blues. Hegemony Part 2 and Wedding Bell Blues. There we go. I know many of us have been anxiously awaiting the conclusion to last season's cliffhanger, which was 2 years ago, I might add. It has been a long time. It has been a stressful wait, but here we are. And boy, does it ever deliver.
Finally.
Wayne, can you give us a quick recap of the first episode, please?
I sure can. In the conclusion to last season's cliffhanger, Captain Pike tracks down the Gorn ship that has captured the colonists from Parissus Beta, along with Lon, Dr. Mbenga, Ortegas, and Sam Kirk, despite orders from Starfleet to stay in Federation space. Within Gorn space, they discover a binary star system that could be hiding the Gorn's homeworld. Meanwhile, Spock and Nurse Chapel attempt to save Captain Batel's life, who have been infected with Gorn eggs that could very soon hatch and threaten everyone on board the Enterprise.
This episode opens with some serious action-packed scenes.
You did.
Some incredible cinematography, CGI worthy of the cinema. And I have to say, Wayne, and I'm sure you're going to agree with me on this, an outstanding score to go along with it.
Yes. Oh, yeah. I absolutely agree. I was going to talk to you about that.
Yeah, beautiful music throughout this episode. Loved it very, very much. I know there have been quite a few Star Trek fans who have been upset about the Gorn being introduced so early in the timeline, but I think we got a pretty good answer here of how this episode ends, and we'll get to that in a little bit. Because I know Gorn wasn't introduced until the episode Arena, which was in obviously the 1967 year, the original Star Trek. But how they finish this episode, I think, kind of cleans that up a little bit.
I think so.
And I was pretty pleased with it. And I think a lot of Star Trek people should be very pleased with that.
Yeah. It was a very satisfying conclusion, in my opinion. And you're right, it did wrap things up, in my opinion, pretty nicely, actually. Leaving it open for, Kirk to not recognize or say he had not seen a Gorn in the episode Arena. I thought it was a brilliant conclusion. It's so hard to conclude two-parter, especially after so much time, because it's rough, as a writer, having to come back and making an ending that'll satisfy not only the fans but the regular viewers. And I think they did nicely with this one.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. I mean, this whole episode, you were literally on the edge of your seat. I didn't give you much opportunity to breathe because you were just anxiously awaiting to see how this was going to wrap itself up. And a lot of our crew members were in some serious trouble here. And we didn't know if anybody was going to survive. And as this episode was going, I was really worried about Ortegas, man.
Yeah, I mean, with some of the characters, I remember, 2 years ago now, some of our predictions for this episode. Fortunately, a few of those predictions didn't come through. I think I remember I was almost certain that Patel would not survive this episode.
Yeah.
I'm glad she did. I really am. But I was certain of that. I thought the episode was wonderful in the fact that everyone seemed to get something substantial to do with the plot, and that's really tough to do. As when you got such a big cast, and but everyone got a little bit of time to shine and do something, and a little bit of character, bit. I think every one of the main characters were. I'm trying to think of the best way to say that. Made better through the story. I know that doesn't make much sense. It's just they had something to do, and I felt they came through it with us understanding those characters a little bit better.
It made their characters stronger.
That's the word.
It gave their story arcs more strength.
Yeah.
That we've seen it in the last 2 seasons, but this one really made everybody better. And pulled the crew together even stronger, which I don't know how that was possible, but it really does. You've got 2 things going on here. Really 3 things if you think about it. You've got the crew who are trying to get the Enterprise to hide from the Gorn, with Scotty and Pelia. And then you've got obviously the bridge crew on the Enterprise who are doing their thing, and then you've got the crew who are on the Gorn ship who are basically trying to survive from being freaking food, for the Gorn. And just so much is going on. When this episode opened, I was already anxiously awaiting it because, as we've discussed, we've been waiting 2 years for this freaking thing, for crying out loud, and it's been very highly anticipated for us. But when it opens up right in the middle of the battle, and you get those really cool camera shots where the camera's like twisting, as
love that.
I loved it so much, man. Kind of reminded me of J.J. Abrams' Star Trek.
Yeah,
like you had those camera shots. I loved that, and it was very fitting for this episode. And obviously when they rammed the ship, but I thought that was just fantastic. The whole sequence there was just incredible. But one of the things I absolutely loved, and this goes back to that developing the characters more, I love the bridge scenes on the Enterprise because we got to see Pike really lean on his crew. Because he was looking at them, brainstorming, give me some ideas, help me here. Let's figure this out to help them get out of this situation. And it really showed how much the crew leans on each other.
Yeah, and for every one of the characters, this was a very stressful episode for all of the characters. Some of them are put through a hell of a lot of mentally and physically in this episode, and there are some really big stakes that happened for some of the characters in this episode. You got Captain Pike. He's forced to choose between the landing party and Starfleet and Federation. That's a huge decision on his head. Of course, you got the landing party on the Gorn ship. They got to decide, what do? Do they sell themselves? Do they save the colonists? Is it possible to save both? That's a huge decision. And then you got in sickbay, you got Chapel and Spock. They're trying to save Patel, and they're trying to make this huge decision on what to do. And it's so frustrating for them because they don't want that Gorn to be hashed and have another repeat incident of that one earlier episode. What was it? All Those Who Wonder. Huge stakes in this episode, and it all is so incredibly wonderfully written and done and performed by all the actors. I loved it.
And paced well.
Yes.
Like, it did not seem like everything was crammed into that amount of time, or they were just stretching it out to fill in time. It was perfect.
No, they definitely weren't stretching it out because they had a lot to cover, but it doesn't feel like you said, everything's crammed in here. It really doesn't. The flow is beautiful.
Yeah. And what really caught me by surprise is Pike making that decision. He made the right decision. He had to warp out of there. There was no choice. And I love that line when he says, "Hang in there, guys." And as they're warping out, see his dialogue was a little distressed, or not distressed, but like it was kind of like it was caught in the warping out. I guess you could say, or almost like you're being transported away, but you're getting that weird dialogue sound going on. I love that. I thought that was a really cool scene.
Yeah, there were some great effects, and that was one of the really nice sound effects. And we don't talk about the sound effects very much, and this episode really has a great soundscape to it. They did a phenomenal job. We didn't really see the Gorn that much in this episode as I thought we would, but after I watched the episode and I was thinking about it, maybe that's for the best. Sometimes I've always learned that and heard from other writers and producers and things, especially of some other TV shows, that less is more sometimes.
It is.
And I think maybe that's the case here. We don't need to see that much of the Gorn because, you got Arena, coming up, a few years later and everything. But they wrap it up really, really nice for the Gorn and for the Gorn storyline, although I don't think it's quite over with yet.
Well, no, I think we still got the tell that we've got to worry about. It's not. She's not out of the woods yet.
No.
So, and we'll get to that as we're talking about episode 3 coming up. But what I find interesting is, like you talked about, how all the characters are in different areas working and doing their best. But one of the things I really liked is the heart-to-heart that Chapel had with Patel right before she was putting her under. And she said, where I think Patel said this is like a Rip Van Winkle, and then Chapel corrected her, like, no, more of like Sleeping Beauty. And I thought that was kind of cool, a moment between those two characters.
Yeah, I think one of my favorite things is actually a bit what you talked about, like on the bridge, the way the characters were portrayed. Like I said, there's a very stressful situation, and they showed their stress a little bit. I can't think of the name of the one character, the helmsman. She, you could see the stress in her face where she, puts her hand on her head and pinches her nose. And Pike knows that they're going through a rough situation, but the crew is there for him. The way they all pull together with Uhura and Scotty and Pelia and number one, they make it through this incredibly.
The speaking of that helmsman, there was a line in this that really is like, whoa. When Pike looked at her, he could tell she was exhausted. She was beat, and she hadn't had any sleep for a while. And he goes, he was basically relieving her, and she's like, no offense, but I'm not leaving the ship.
Yeah.
And I'm not leaving my post until we get everyone back. And Pike looked at her and goes, copy. Like, he was impressed with what of her, and I thought that was a really cool scene between those two.
Yeah, I love that scene. I thought that was a great way of showing the tension and the stress and everything that's on top of their heads.
Yep. I like that they touched on Leanne's flashbacks with the Gorn. You got to see her brother again a little bit, but they didn't dwell on it too much. You just got that, like, she's in this situation with the Gorn now, and obviously she's going to have some of those flashbacks because, she's freaking out, right?
Oh, yeah.
She's been through this before, and here she goes again, and now she's struggling. How the hell am I going to get out of here and get the people who I care about out of here with me? I just thought that how they got out of there and the things that they went through was just phenomenal.
And I think that made her character even more stronger than what it was before, because she's now overcome that fear that, you might as well call it PTSD, really.
It is.
That's what she had.
Yep.
She was in a situation where she just couldn't break down. Yeah. She wanted to, but she couldn't. She had to keep pushing through because their lives and the lives of the colonists. And I think the whole situation, she came out of it the best out of everyone because she overcame those fears. And, of course, they rescued everybody.
Well, I think someone else on the crew is going to get that PTSD that we saw at the end of the second episode.
Yeah, I think so.
And we'll talk about that when we get to that episode. I absolutely loved the relationship between Pelia and Scotty.
Oh, yeah, that was one of the best things.
We saw a little bit of that, last year, with last season, I should say, in the finale. But here, you get to see it shine even more between these two. I absolutely thought it was hysterical when Pelia comes in. The Gorn are here, just to force him to fix the device, to make sure it's working. I love that so much.
Yeah, and we were wrong about one of our predictions. We had said that both of us agreed that we didn't think Scotty was going to become a main character, but they've added the actor's name to the main credits with the rest of the main cast, so he's here to stay. And I'm kind of glad after seeing his interaction with Pelia. Yes. I want to see more of that. I thought they were a great two-part team. There
they are. Yeah. I cannot wait to see what else occurs between those two because they are perfect together. I love it. Mm-hmm. I mean, literally, it's teacher and student, right? And she taught him years and years ago. Mm-hmm. So getting to see that working, because she knows how he thinks, how he processes things. Even the part about him not being a big drinker, but I think was that in the next episode, wasn't it, or was that this one? I got the two of them kind of.
That was the next episode.
That was the next. Okay, we'll talk about that a little bit later. So sorry about that, listeners. Getting ahead of myself here. But to go back to, and this is kind of giving away a little bit of who I think really was the character that shined the most. So I'm kind of jumping ahead of myself. Mm-hmm. But Erica Ortegas, I'm telling you, she was phenomenal in this episode, Wayne.
Yes, she was.
The part where they're arguing a little bit and they look at her and goes, "Can you fly this?" And she's like, "Don't be rude. Of course I can." But later on, my God, Wayne, she took control of that ship and she was bleeding out. Like she was dying. And she knew she had to take charge to get them out of there with that ship. Phenomenal.
Well, she lost half of her hand. I don't know.
Yes, she did.
Started freaking out about that, but she had to pull herself through. They were in such a stressful situation, and they knew that the only way out was through her skills. And I think that was a great scene. I think they were all that scene with her was fantastic. She's another character that grew a lot. Her story grew so much from this episode.
And one of the lines, there's so many lines in this episode I really like, but hers, we get a repeat of lines she did last season, but it was like almost like she could not muster enough strength to get it out. But she says it. I'm Erica Ortegas. I fly the ship. I cheered when she said that. She's pretty much dying, man.
I was waiting for her to say that too, and I was glad she did.
Yeah,
it's like her catchphrase.
Yes, it was kind of like a Duke moment though on G.I. Joe, if you know what I'm talking about, which they got the message over the intercom that Ortegas is going to be okay. It's like Ortegas is going to be A-okay.
Yeah. Yep.
But it was fitting because there's so much that was happening. They couldn't go all over the place. We're running out of time, so it was fitting. What else did you love about this episode, Wayne? Because there's so much to love.
There really was. Just the visual effects were absolutely incredible. I mean, I've been blown away with every episode, and I remember with part one just absolutely loving the visual effects, especially for the second half. But I think they even outdid themselves this time. Yeah. The shots of them crashing into the ship, was so well done. The Gorn ships just zooming back and forth, and then the binary star when he flew the Enterprise in between the stars and they activated that Scotty's machine, and I thought those effects were so incredible.
They were like I said, it was cinema quality, man. I mean, it impresses me on how much money they put into these streaming shows now, which they can, and CGI, I mean, is, I'm not going to say cheap because it's not cheap, but at least they've gotten to a place now that they can bring that to television.
Well, yeah, I mean, a lot of people, and I've seen this over the last few years, they're very upset that we're only getting 10 episodes of any Star Trek series now, and they feel like it's just a little bit. This is the reason why we're able to get these cinematic episodes, these incredibly beautifully directed, beautifully acted, with incredible visual effects. They couldn't afford. There's no way they could do 26 episodes anymore.
No way.
That time is way over. And it's not just Star Trek; it's any TV show. That time is over. If you look back at any of the old Star Trek shows, Next Generation, Voyager, in order to get those 26 episodes, they had like 12 filler episodes where there were no visual effects. Well, they're not going to do that anymore.
No,
they're not going to do that anymore. And this is the result of us getting 10 episodes. We get these incredible, beautiful, wonderfully done episodes that feel like motion pictures.
It goes back to the saying, quality over quantity, and that's exactly what this is. And we're getting the quality.
We got two very good quality episodes this time. I'm sure we'll get 8 more.
Yeah. And speaking of the CGI, how about that shot of Lan running in and killing that Gorn who is holding Ortega up in the air?
Oh yeah, that was a good shot.
Yeah.
Oh man. I forgot about that.
That was very impressive, man. And again, I thought, oh, there's Ortega's going bye-bye. See you later. But somehow that poor girl hung on.
I am really, really surprised that everyone made it through this episode. I really am. I expected at least someone to die, because we really don't know how long any of these characters, especially, Ortegas and Lon, they're not around when the original series comes around. So what happens to them?
Right.
This could have been a good example of them being killed or written off, but they're still with us. Their story still continues.
Yeah. How about the that ending scene where Pike gets down on his knees and starts praying, and he's basically talking about his dad. He's saying, it kind of goes back to season 2, I believe it was, where they they talked about Pike's dad was a science teacher, but he taught religion, right? Yeah. So Pike was kind of like, I hope you're happy, when he gets down to start praying for Batel. I thought that was kind of cool.
Yeah, I think that was a nice little tie-in.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I know we got another episode to talk about, so let's talk about some of our favorite moments. Wayne, anything for you?
Well, I think we've mentioned so many of them. My favorite moments beginning to end, really, of this episode. I can't stress how much I really, really like this episode. That it's going to be really hard to top it on this season. So we'll just have to wait and see if this continues to be my favorite. But I do want to point out, we mentioned it earlier, the score of this episode. So well done. And I remember when we were talking about part 1, we mentioned that the composer brought in some little subtle elements of James Horner. They weren't subtle in this episode.
No,
they were very, very strong. I mean, I got so much. It felt so much like Star Trek 2.
Yep.
In parts, I'm pretty sure I even heard an anvil.
Oh yeah, you did. I think I did too. So. As we know, James Horner was a master of action music, and you can clearly hear that being honored in this episode without question, man.
Oh yeah, and it rightfully showed too, because I could see him score, if he was still alive, scoring this episode. This seems like something that is right up his alley. The whole Aliens type of style feel that they were getting. So bringing just a little bit of his style into the score, I think was a perfect homage to the late composer.
I completely agree. And for me, there's so many moments in this episode that I absolutely love. We've talked about so many. I can't pick my favorite, because there's just so many good ones through this entire episode. So many good character moments that it is really hard to pick one, to be honest with you. So I'm going to be with you. I'm seeing this whole episode. It was fantastic.
It was.
Yeah.
Watch it, everybody. Just go and watch it. I think you'll be very satisfied with it.
You really will. It's Star Trek at its best. There's no doubt about it. So if you were one of these characters, well, hold on. Which character do you think shined the most? I've already given mine away, and I'm going to keep that. It is Eric Ortegas. What about you?
Well, you had a good choice. It was really hard between the two, because they both shined. Every character shined in this episode, but I chose Lon because
good choice.
I think I mentioned before, I think her character benefited the most from this episode, from the story that we got. She gets that return to the Gorn captivity that she was so terrified of, and that she'd been dreading it, and she has to deal with all those horrible memories so quick. And it's like I said, it's very obvious that she's got PTSD from it. She suffers from it horribly, but this time she overcomes that shock and that fear, and helps save everyone, pull everyone together, save everyone, and save not only the landing party, but they save the colonists. Very, very satisfying. I don't know exactly call it an ending to that bit of the storyline, but because like I said, I don't think the Gorn storyline's quite over with yet.
Yeah.
But she benefited so much from that.
I think, and that's a really good pick. She would have been my second choice, but I just loved Erica so much in this one. But to go back to Leon, she really proved here she would be an amazing number 1 on a ship.
Yeah, I thought that too.
She led that party and helped that party survive. If it wasn't for her, I don't think they would have made it.
No.
She proved what a leader she was right there. And you're right. She's in a situation that she experienced when she was a kid, and not a good experience at all.
Oh, no.
A nightmare, for crying out loud. And she held it together and was able to get them off that ship in one piece.
Mhm.
That's impressive.
Yep.
So good pick, good pick. So if you could be any character in this episode, who would it be, Wayne, and
Oh
why?
gosh, that's hard. That is really, really hard because so many go through so much terrible stuff.
Right.
Well, it's not Juan, not with all her trauma, and I mean, not Ortega because she lost half her hand and bleeds practically to death, and
Yep.
not Battelle and her Gorn eggs. That don't sound very fun. So, I guess I'm going to choose Captain Pike because he didn't come through this too bad.
No.
He got to go against the Starfleet orders. He got to fight Gorn. He saved everyone, and his girlfriend didn't die. So, yeah, he came through pretty good. I'll be him.
Fair enough. I'm going with Paleo because I love her interactions with Scotty, but she doesn't have to face any of the Gorn. She's as safe as she can be in a situation like that, on the Enterprise. So I definitely go with her.
Yeah. Good choice.
So Wayne, I didn't catch any because I was so into this episode. Any Easter eggs in this episode?
Oh, there wasn't very many of them. That's probably why you didn't catch very many. I've only found a few, and some of them I wouldn't call Easter eggs. But I want to talk about the title sequence to start off. We got season 3. We got some changes to that new opening credit sequence that I really liked. And I mentioned that Martin Quinn's name has been added to the main cast, to our surprise. But there were several new visual effects sequences to it. We got a shot of a Klingon D7 battlecruiser coming out to chase the Enterprise. I like that shot. I thought that was a fantastic addition. We got that shot of the shuttlecraft leaving ship. And then we got that beautiful shot of Starbase 1 from the next episode with the fleet of the Federation ships floating over. So nice little update to the title sequence. Makes me wonder if they'll do another one next season.
So are they doing the lower deck thing? They're adding things?
I think they are. That's what that's exactly what I was thinking too.
Yeah, right. I like that they do that. To keep us looking and watching it instead of skipping over, which I would never skip over that anyway. Mm-hmm. But it's kind of cool that they're doing that just to keep us on our toes. I like that.
Yeah. And another new addition is we've got a brand new Enterprise engineering lab that makes its debut. I don't know if you noticed, but there's water running underneath that floor.
Yeah.
That water is coming directly from Cetacean Ops, which is the first time we've ever seen anything like that on live action. We didn't get to see any of the crew members in it yet, but I gotta believe that they're going to be coming. Mm-hmm. Why put that there if they're not going to use it?
Oh yeah, they're not spending that much money on a set not to use it.
Right.
No. So
now, one of the few Easter eggs that I did notice, and this is one of those blink to miss it, that scene where Pike and April are talking. There is a Starfleet map of the Gorn hegemony behind them. Shows a few little familiar locations. You see Starbase Deep Space 2. You see Cetus. That's the planet where Kirk fought the Gorn in the episode Arena. And you also see the planet Keswick. That is the birthplace of Voyager's chief engineer, Balanis Taurus.
Oh, cool.
And the only other thing I saw was, if you'll notice, those red isolation suits that Spock and Chapel are wearing. Those are most definitely updated versions of the suits from the original series that they wore in episodes like The Naked Time, whenever they were dealing with pathogens and viruses.
All right.
And that's it.
Good catches. I didn't catch any of those. So
there wasn't much.
No, clearly not.
I got to tell you, I think there was just so much going on in this episode that they really didn't have time to squeeze in too many Easter eggs. They had story to deal with. Yeah,
this is very, very true. All right, well, let's take a break. And when we come back, we'll start talking about Season 3, Episode 2 of Strange New Worlds. Welcome back, everybody, to Phaser Set to Stun, where Wayne and I are continuing our discussion of Strange New Worlds Season 3. Let's talk about Episode 2, which aired the same night. So this one is a much lighter tone, comedic relief from the heavy seriousness that we got of the season opener, and we really needed it.
We needed that, yeah.
Yes, needed that break. So, Wayne, give us a recap of this episode.
All right. 3 months later, while the Enterprise is docked for repairs at Starbase 1, the crew are taking some much-needed R&R and preparing for the celebrations of the Federation's 100th anniversary. Spock is anticipating Nurse Christine Chapel's return. But what he didn't expect is for her to return in a relationship with Dr. Roger Corby. Then Spock wakes up in a new reality where everything's changed, and he not only is in a relationship with Christine, but is preparing to marry her. Everything seems just right, except for one thing: the mysterious wedding planner that may have a more sinister origin than they are led to believe.
A lot of stuff happening in this episode, and I know we're going to get to some of the humor of this episode. But Wayne, I think you and I, in our recap last episode, we talked about what we thought was going to happen in the future, and I think that this came up for us, didn't it? That we were wondering about the Spock Chapel relationship of when Dr. Corby was going to be introduced. Did we not?
Yeah, we were, because we've had this on and off again relationship, and we know where it has to go.
Yep.
So we were talking about that. We thought that this would be the end of that storyline. This season would be the end of that storyline, and would finally see the conclusion of the whole Spock Chapel with the introduction of Corby.
Yeah.
And I think we were absolutely right.
Yeah.
From the looks of it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm telling you, this episode was so weird, but it was so good that when we went into that, well, first off, when it opens up and he's being taught how to dance by Leon, I love that scene, by the way. I love the relationship between the two of them throughout this entire episode, because I don't think we really got to explore a lot of that between these two characters, and I thought that was really well done to focus on that. But so you really didn't know where you were at in the story. You just thought you were just, it was going to be Federation Day, and Spock was going to, they were all going to be hosting it, and those kind of things. But then the wedding planner shows up. So there was a scene where Spock was in his quarters, and you saw him appear in the window behind him.
Yeah.
I don't know if you caught that or not, but it happened so fast that he appears in the window outside.
I didn't the first time. I did the second time though.
Yeah. So you're thinking, did I just see what I think I see? What the hell's going on? And then when because he was the bartender at first, and talks to Spock about that, and Spock goes to bed and then wakes up, and then we're in this different reality. And then you're really going, what the hell is going on? But you knew something was up with the wedding planner here.
Well, yeah, because everyone seems to be seeing him differently. Nobody sees him as the same type of person.
Right.
Pike was seeing him as an Andorian, and I think Spock saw him as a Vulcan. And yeah, you were like, what the heck is going on with this character? But I never expected it to go the direction it did go.
Not at all. I had in the back of my mind, I was like, are they doing what I think they're doing? But then I let it go, because it's just, the episode got weird and just funny. That I was just like, okay, this is a fun episode, and I'm enjoying it. Because again, we really needed it from that last episode.
Oh yeah.
But there's some really good moments in here. One of the ones I absolutely think is hysterical is when Pike and Patel are having that really sweet moment together. And basically Pike is asking her, to be with him. And then she basically jokes saying that, you're going to have to move in with me on my ship. And he said, where are we going to put all your hair products?
Yeah. That made me laugh.
That was fantastic.
Yeah. Oh, there were so many great moments. I love the banter between number one and Mbinga and that new nurse. I thought that scene was so well. I mean, it really. You don't see number one, joking around or being that open with characters anymore. She seems to be a lot more relaxed now, not that cold character that we saw when they first started. So I like that. I like that new version of her. Yeah,
and did they give a name to that new character? Because obviously he joined the Enterprise.
Not in this episode, but he does have a name. It'll be coming up later.
Okay, good deal. I liked his character. He had that spark right away.
Yeah.
And I was like, he's going to fit in nicely, but I didn't even think about that he was going to become part of the crew. And then it happened.
Yeah, they seem to be peppering the series this season with new secondary characters, which I liked. I mean, all of the other Star Trek shows did have a secondary cast.
Yep.
It's great to see that same thing happen, with this series.
Yeah. So another funny moment that I thought was hysterical is when Spock obviously goes to the transporter room to wait on Chapel being, beamed on board. And then obviously Corby appears next to her. And Spock doesn't realize at the moment what's going on, but their other crew are kind of like giving those side glances to one another, like, is this what we think it is? But the one that got me, that I busted out laughing and applauded, was Scotty. When we realized at that moment what was going on, and Scotty gives that really weird look like, oh God, this is really happening. Dude, I lost it.
Oh yeah, that was great.
Yeah, and Spock was still kind of like, what's happening here?
Well, yeah, just in perfect Spock tradition. Yeah.
Yeah, that was really well done. The entire scene, because it was very awkward. The characters were kind of awkward to one another because they needed to be, because it was a situation that, like, if we were caught in that, we'd be kind of like, this is very uncomfortable.
And one thing I really liked is, talking about secondary characters and stuff, we got the introduction to Ortegas's brother, Beto, and that little scene in the hallway with her and him and Uhura. There's a lot of banter there too, a lot of fun dialogue. I think we were seeing the beginning of a little bit of a storyline for this season. Where it's going to go, I'm not sure, but I've got some theories I'll bring up later on where maybe that character is planning on going this season.
Oh, I'm curious to hear these, because I didn't really put any thought into that, but I agree with you. There's definitely something going on there, or they wouldn't have done what they did. But I'm curious to hear what you have to say. So.
Well, here I'll just say it right here. And we talked. I mentioned this a little bit on the looking forward thing that we did, looking back, our last episode. They mentioned that Beto is a documentarian. He's a filmmaker, and he's filming the centennial celebration. We have later on in this season, I think it's about the 6th or 7th episode, we have an episode called "What is Starfleet?" And we were talking about what that's about. I think, and for all I know, it could be this. What if that episode is exactly as the episode title is, and it's shown in documentary form?
Oh, that'd be incredible.
Yeah, that's my theory of what that could be. But if anything, I really do think that episode is going to feature him, that character.
That would be a really good idea. I'm going to be disappointed now if that episode is not that, Wayne, and it's your fault. That's brilliant. I hope that's true, because I think that is a really unique way. And we talked about what we expect later on, and they have those unique bottle episodes, and that could be a very unique one.
It could be. I mean, we saw something last season that had never been tried on in Star Trek, and this could be their new thing that they're trying that's never been done in Star Trek, and I think I'd like that.
Yeah, which, by the way, Spock kind of alludes to that in this episode about we were caught up. We were singing.
Yeah, he does. Yep.
Yep, you sure were. But let's not talk about it anymore, please. Let's move on.
Well, let's talk about the big thing.
Let's do it. Elephant in the room.
Big thing, because it's got to be talked about. We've got to discuss this. Who's the wedding planner? Who was that?
So it has to be. You pronounce his name? Is it Trelane?
It's Trelane.
Trelane. I think that's who it is. It has to be. They did not say his name in this entire episode.
No.
We don't know.
No.
But it has to be. And then, Wayne, when you find out at the end who his father is, I about fell out of my chair.
Well, I mean, okay. Really, there are... You're missing a character, too. There are 3 options of who this character could be.
Okay.
And obviously, the most obvious is Trelane.
Yeah.
After we're done discussing this, I'll tell you the true answer, because there is a true answer to this.
There is, okay.
Yes, there is. But that's the obvious one. He's Trelane, because he acts like him. He kind of dresses like him. He uses the same phrases, the way he says tally ho and greetings and felicitations. That was the same thing that Trelane did. But then also, when his father appears, and we all know who his father is. I mean, you can notice that.
You recognize the voice right away.
So... yeah, let's just say it, though. As we mentioned there, spoiler alert, big time. Okay, go see this. It's Q. Okay, it's John Delancey. It's Q, and this is Q's son. Well, Q has a son.
He does.
Q Junior from we saw him in Star Trek Voyager. So, option number 2, is this his character? Is this that Q the Q Junior, Q2, whatever you want to call it. After the episode was called Q2, if you ever want to watch that in Voyager. So that's option 2. But then there's option 3. They're both, or he's both, with maybe Q Junior was Trelane.
Yeah.
And they're one and the same character. All right. So, and they left that open for everybody to think. Now, like I said, there is an answer because the executive producer has come out and said who it is.
So what is the true answer? Let us know.
It is Trelane.
It is Trelane.
And his father is Q.
Good. That's the way I like it. Because as soon as I heard John Delancey's voice, I'm like, holy crap!
That was
Q!
Yeah. That was a huge surprise. Thank you, producers and Paramount, for keeping that a secret because I love that.
Yes, I'm glad that was kept very quiet, and it was a pleasant surprise for the fans, no doubt about it. And I got to tell you, Darby is awesome in this role.
Oh, he's great.
He is fantastic. Now I know he's got that quirkiness about him that is brilliant because he does a lot of the same type of characters throughout his career in film, but it's always done so well. And I can see why they casted him for this because it was absolutely perfect and spot on. I can't. He's the perfect choice for this character. I no doubt. It's almost like when they were writing this character, they already knew who they were going to get, because, and then they might have, to be honest with you, because it literally was written for Darby.
It felt like that. Yeah, I think they probably did. They probably wrote it with the intention of having him play the character.
Yeah, and every scene he was on was scene stealing. Because he was so good, and when he popped up, I was looking forward to it because here we go again. And you knew you were going to get gold from him, and you do every single time. You do, and that brings me to the character that I think shines the most. I had to choose him in this episode because it's such a fun character, yet there's just that menacing undertones there, and everything he says, he brings such light and fun to every scene with that menace, which remind me of so much of Q. Absolutely did
when he did in The Next Generation. It's a real pity that I believe this is probably a one-off appearance. I don't think we'll see this character again because I would love to see him again. I'd love to learn a little bit more, but I'm glad that they did this. I'm glad they brought this character because this is one of the more wacky characters of the original series. If you really think about it, when it's hard to deal with these godlike characters and tying him in. Finally solving that what is it, 40-year-old mystery of is Trelane Q, is Q Trelane. They finally tied that in and solved it. So thank you, writers and producers, for doing that.
Thank you for wrapping it up finally for us fans so that we can really enjoy all of it. And it's so good. The scene that he had where he kept Corby at bay because Corby obviously knew what was going on. So he was the scene where he was getting him to taste the food and the mother's flowers, and like how he kept giving like that look to Corby, like, keep your butt back there, stay away, and kept giving him something to do. It's so good.
When he's dressed as one of the bridesmaids with that flower thing, it said that made me laugh. That was
I think he even said he made me the maid of honor, kind of like maid of honor. Oh, that was so good. But then you get the Spock finally gets snapped out of it because he punches Corby. And immediately he realizes what's going on. And kind of foreshadowing here, I think they kind of talk about, if like punching somebody would snap them out of it, but also some kind of highly emotional situation would snap them out of it too. Which was kind of foreshadowing of how he snapped Chapel out.
I'm sorry. I when you mentioned the punching someone, I was thinking of the scene between Spock and Kirk on the bridge where he wants him to punch him. He won't do it. I love that bit.
Yes, that was really good. But I love the scene when he gave that amazing speech to Chapel when they were about ready to get married, and that was beautiful. And I think even Leon says that speech was incredible.
I was really impressed with that. In the middle of a very lighthearted episode, that was a real beautiful, dramatic moment, and very, very well written and very well performed. It did. It broke your heart for Spock because
he's half Vulcan. Yes, we know he's half human,
Mm-hmm.
but he suppresses those emotions.
Mm-hmm.
And in that situation, I think he finally realized he has to let Chapel go. And you know Spock, and you know that like we're used to him just by whatever, it's a human emotion, so I'm just going to let it slide. But here, you could see that in the performance,
Mm-hmm.
that his heart was breaking, but he had to hold on and keep it at bay.
Yeah, I just I got to mention Ethan Peck's performance, not just in this episode, but in every episode leading up to this. He has done an incredible job of bringing Spock to life, this new version of him.
Yes.
Very reminiscent of Leonard Nimoy. He really honors Nimoy with his performance. This episode, you can see him having that inner battle between the Vulcan and the human side of him, and many of the scenes. It was just incredibly well performed, and I every episode I see him, I love him as Spock more and more.
Yeah.
I just think he's so phenomenally good.
Yep. And the fact that he had to team up with Corby
Yeah,
to fix this just made it even harder for Spock. I'm like, poor Spock, man.
Yeah.
This is vicious.
yeah, but well written. Well,
Yes.
that was brilliant having to put the two of them together.
It really was. So that leads me to favorite moments of this episode, Wayne. What do you got? Because there's so many.
Yeah, I mean, we're 2 episodes in, and we've got 2 phenomenally good episodes. There are a lot of moments that I really like, but I think one of them I just mentioned in that little banter on the bridge between Kirk and Spock, and the whole wine choice and him putting down the wine and trying to get him to punch him. Just it was funny, but I loved that scene. I loved the scene with number 1 and in the sick bay. It's so hard to I can't choose because there's just too many. I really like this episode, and now I don't know if this is my favorite or if Hegemony is my favorite. Oh, this is going to be difficult this season. I hope they continue to deliver episodes like this, because that'd be a great season.
I'm telling you, we've got 8 more to go, and if they can keep this quality up, oh my God, are we in treat for an amazing season?
Yeah.
For me, there's just so many, but I absolutely loved Leon and Spock dancing, especially there towards the end when we got the jitterbug. I love good choice of song too, by the way. I love that choice. But Leon basically saying, them going out and dancing, so that scene, that relationship between the two. I mean, it's not a relationship, but you know what I mean. They're friends. But getting to see that at least come to fruition after the beginning of the episode, getting to see them dance. He wasn't going to dance with Chapel. He's dancing with her. So none of that went to waste. So I just loved the relationship between these 2 characters throughout the entire episode, because it was almost, funny enough, it's Leon he's leaning on, because in a situation like this, that's not someone you would typically pick to lean on, I wouldn't think. But he does, and she does it so well for him.
Yeah.
And she realizes that Spock needs that, even though she doesn't come out and say it. She knows Spock needs somebody to lean on, and she's perfect for it, man. And I just love that scene between the 2 of them. Yeah,
I'm glad you brought that, because I forgot all about the end scene. Everything that took place after Trelane, I'm just going to call him that, left. The whole party, the celebration of the Federation's 100th, and the dialogue, the dancing, the music choices. That was a wonderful ending to the episode.
Yeah.
With a fun, you just got to see the characters put their hair down and just enjoy themselves.
Yep.
Great little end cap for that episode. I loved all of that.
Yeah. And let's backtrack a little bit. What we kind of mentioned in the first episode, that another character is going to get PTSD.
Oh yeah,
clearly it's Erica Ortegas who has that vision of a Gorn in the window as she's punching the bag. So clearly there's a lot of tension and stress that we're going to see from her over this season. So you definitely can see that story arc coming.
Yeah, and that's why I said that I don't think we're completely finished with the Gorn storyline. I don't know if we'll see the actual Gorn again, but we're going to get this. We're going to get this trauma that she has from a result of that episode. It's definitely going to be a major point this season somewhere along the line.
Absolutely. I know there's no point in asking this question, which character shined the most, because we both already said it. But just to go back, Darby does a fantastic job as Tree.
Yeah, he does.
Amazing. Every scene he's in is gold. You just cannot wait till the next time he's on screen, because he's so good.
Yeah, I 100% agree. I mean, he stole. It's a Spock episode, but he stole the show from him.
He did. he stole the show. Sorry, the rest of the cast. You did phenomenal.
Yes,
but Treeline is amazing in this episode. He really is. So.
Yeah.
All right, Wayne. If you could be any character in this episode, who would it be and why?
Oh man, I'm gonna say Dr. Corby.
Damn, you took mine.
I mean, he's such a, and I know why. I think we're both have the same reasons.
Why. Yes.
Yeah, he's such a lucky person. You know, he's got that relationship with the lovely Christine Chapel. You know, Now I will add on that I'm not crazy about his ultimate fate. That you know, if everybody remembers, he ends up nearly freezing to death and having his mind transferred into an android body. But then after I say that, you know, about that last part, it didn't go so badly for Jean-Luc Picard, so maybe it won't be so bad, you know.
This is true. But I mean, I want to be Dr. Corby just for the simple reason that he's on Christine's arm a lot.
Yeah.
But, you know, he does go through a tough time here in this episode. There's a lot of anguish he has to deal with. And, you know, first of all, he knows Spock's history with Christine. And he has to be the one to approach Spock to make him realize that this is not right. This is not the reality that we're in. And this is wrong. You need to wake up and realize it. And he obviously has to take a punch for that to happen.
Yeah, he does.
But still, I would be Dr. Corby in this episode without question. All right. Well, let's talk about some Easter eggs. We already gave one of the big ones away. John Delancey, obviously, as the voice of Darby's dad, playing Q. And I believe we've got a line in here too, Count Tribbles then, when they're talking about, so I know we got that one. What else we got, Wayne?
There were a few more in this episode. They had a little more fun, so they were able to squeeze some interesting stuff on there. Spock mentions to Lon that Vulcans do not dance. Well, he's definitely not wrong, because Tuvok said exactly the same thing to Neelix in the Star Trek Voyager episode Homestead. Just for the record, since it wasn't actually said in this episode, we mentioned it earlier, that new nurse's, his name is Ensign Dana Gamble. That's been revealed because it's very important in a later episode. I have no idea what, but it is very important. So remember that name.
Okay.
All right. When we see Pike in his quarters, we also see that Pike apparently has one of Captain Picard's famous tea glasses sitting on his table right behind his own coffee mug. I don't know how he got it. It must be a very famous brand back in the 23rd and 24th century.
Yep.
Now, during that dance sequence, which I got to mention, I love the visual effects during that whole dance sequence in the background. And of course, I'm staring at the background, trying to pick out anything. And there was some nice, beautiful starships. But I also saw a Crossfield class starship flying around. You know, that's the very same style of starship that the USS Discovery was. Now, this is a fun one. This isn't exactly an Easter egg, but Corby mentions that the wedding planner could wish them all into the cornfield.
Yep, I know that's right.
I love that reference. Most of us old TV viewers, you know, of our age, recognize that reference. But if you don't know, it's from an episode of The Twilight Zone called "It's a Good Life" that starred Billy Mooney. Great episode, one of the best in the series.
Absolutely.
I also spotted two Bolians attending the wedding. When he wasn't hard to spot, they had the camera right on him. I think this is the first time we see the Bolians in this time frame, but they were very, very common during the Next Generation's time. In fact, the Enterprise D's barber was a Bolian, and this was this blew my mind when I saw this. That 3R armed alien bartender at the end that Pike invites onto the Enterprise, that's an Indosian. That is the same race that Eric's was from on Star Trek the animated series. This is the Edosians had appeared on Lower Decks and they appeared on Prodigy, but this is the first time that we've actually seen this alien in live action. I love that. I'm so glad that they're able to bring that little bit from the animated series into the whole Star Trek lore.
So is she coming to the ship? Because Pike invited her.
Yes, she is. That's another one of the secondary casts that they're making bigger and bigger. And then finally, I want to add that, this is Beto's first full appearance on the series. He's not a new character to the mythology. His character plays a major part in the Strange New Worlds novel Towards the Night, which was written by James Swallow, and it was published earlier this year. It's a great book. James Swallow wrote 2 episodes of Star Trek Voyager, 1 and Memorial, and he also wrote some damn good Doctor Who audios for Big Finish.
Very good. So, what are we seeing in the trailer for this coming week? The episode's called Shuttle to Confori. What I'm getting out of it is it takes him into Klingon space, looking to find a rare cure for Patel. So, one of the things, again, you and I talked about the last episode of what we thought was going to happen in the future. I think it's going to come to fruition in this one, because Dr. Mbenga goes on this mission to Klingon space, and you know where that's going to lead because of what we saw with the Cloaks of War. I think we're going to finally get some of that we have left on the table somewhere that we've not, got to yet.
I think you're right, and we did mention that, and we were really hoping that they wouldn't wait on that storyline. They'd bring it up sooner rather than later, and it looks like they are. Yeah. I really do think that next episode could be a Mbenga episode, and I think they're going to bring that up. If they don't, they made a terrible mistake. They should. Yeah,
absolutely. Come on, it's perfect time to do it.
Plus, I never thought you'd hear me say this, but I'm kind of glad to see the Klingons again.
Me too. So much has happened in the first 2 episodes that I'm going to put this out there. I think something bad is going to happen at the end of this 3rd episode to the crew. I really do.
Oh, you could be right. I mean, we've got little tastes of the storyline for the season. We know there's always a storyline for the season.
Yeah.
We've got little tastes so far in these first 2 episodes. I think it's probably ready for us to get hit by something big.
Yeah,
You're
I
right.
agree.
You're right.
So, what do we think is going to happen over the rest of the season? I know we're going to get some fun bottle episodes, obviously, and I'm super excited about the one you mentioned. This is which I hope comes true. So, anything that you think? You said you think the Gorn's not gone yet. So no. But I don't think they're going to end the season with the Gorn again.
No,
something completely different.
I really don't. I mean, the Gorn they're asleep right now. I don't think we're going to see the Gorn as an enemy again, but we're going to see the Gorn as in the trauma that Ortega's has, the mental things. Maybe visions and flashes of them in her own mind. That's that bit. It's sort of like an epilogue to the Hegemony storyline with her, and I don't know which episode it's going to be. I don't know, but I really do think they're going to have an episode that Ortega's is going to it's going to center on her, and it's going to be about that. And I don't think they'll wait too long. For all I know, it could be episode 4. But we've got that coming up. We've got the murder mystery episode coming up, which I'm looking forward to that one too. That looks like that could be another fun episode. And if it's anything like this one, I'm going to enjoy it.
What if they bring back Trelon and some of that's because of him? What if they do that, Wayne? Because we said this might be a one-off with him, but you never know.
It could be. It could be. We don't know. They're keeping a lot of things secret, and I'm glad they are. Yeah. I loved the surprise, this episode. So hopefully they got a lot more of those coming up.
Yeah, I remember when I was getting on episode 2, you said we're gonna have a lot to talk about, and I didn't realize it at the time. But then when I got to the end of the episode, I said, "Oh, I see what Wayne's talking about now."
Yeah, that's exactly
we got a lot to talk about.
Like, oh wow.
Yeah, but 2 great episodes, listeners. We are off to a bang on season 3. Cannot wait to see what's in store for the next episode and beyond. We've only got 8 episodes left because we got 2 right away. The good thing is we know it's going to end on season 5, but that means we've got 2 more seasons to go after this. Season 4 is already, I believe, in the can for the most part. So I know we're probably going to get that sometime next year. A quick turnaround.
Look at it this way: if you're a little depressed at the fact that it's ending in season 5, just think of this: we're not even halfway through the series yet.
This is right. That's right. Look at it that way. It's a good way to look at it. All right. Thanks, listeners, for joining us. What do you think is going to happen this season? What are your thoughts on the 2 episodes we just covered? Let us know. Wayne, as always, thanks for joining me on the bridge. It's always a fantastic time talking to you about it.
It's a lot of fun.
All right. Check out www.afilmbypodcast.com for film and TV articles and our entire library streaming free. Write to us at afilmbypodcast@gmail.com with your questions, comments, and concerns. We may just read your response on the show and send you some Film By swag. And to all you listening to the show, follow us on social media and subscribing to our Patreon. We thank you. See you next time for another episode of Phasers Set to Stun.